Hello guys, today we'll be reacting to Do Teen Parents Have to Sacrifice Their Dreams by Jubilee. Staying safe, that's good.
From the moment she was born, from the moment I was pregnant with her, I have had this giant burden of I'm the only one that cares for her. That's kind of been a recurring theme, is like, wow, if I don't figure this out, who will?
It's good to take on responsibility, I guess. I guess you kind of have to once you become a parent, but still, it isn't easy. I'm not a parent, obviously, so I wouldn't know, but
I'm pregnant.
Oh God.
It could happen to any one of us.
It could have been any of us.
Lots of girls get pregnant in high school. Not like everybody else in high school.
yeah, everybody thinks they're not like everybody else in high school.
I became a mom a little over 3 years ago at 17 years old.
I became a teen mom at the age of 14.
Wow.
I was 16 when I became a dad.
So I was 18. It was actually right out of high school.
At first it was
I'm 20 and I feel like I'm still a kid.
very hard, but I promised that I was going to be there for her.
The most annoying stereotype about being a teen mom was definitely that I'm not gonna make it and that my daughter's life will be less than because I'm so young.
When I tell people in my class, oh, I have a child, they're like, oh, like, they assume that I don't know as much as them because I guess I made the decision to have a child young.
A lot of people,
I think being a parent, doesn't that make you more knowledgeable about life? Certainly, I think it makes you more mature than your peers if you're doing it right.
assume because you have a child, your life is completely over, but they're wrong.
Yeah, it's more like your childhood is completely over once you have a child, right? Because now you have to take on all the responsibility for your child and act like an adult and not rely on others anymore. It's more like your life is not your own now. Now you have to take responsibility for another human being, and your life no longer only belongs to yourself. I think that's why some people think your life is over when you have a kid. It's like your life as a life that only belongs to yourself is over.
Hi, my name is Joanna. I am a mother to Esmeralda Platero. She's 2 years old.
I'm Allie. I'm a single mom of a little girl.
So my name's Zenon, and I'm father to a beautiful little girl named Gwendolyn.
Hi, my name's Brandon. I have a 2-year-old son named Isaiah. I'm currently working like 3 jobs, and I just graduated.
The thing is, none of them sound like teenagers. They really sound like, just from the way they talk, it kind of already shows that they're a bit more mature than your average teenager.
High school.
Wow, congratulations.
Right.
Please walk forward if you agree with the statement. I wish I had children later.
Only one person, 2 people. So it wasn't planned then.
I feel like this question's really hard because right off the bat, people are gonna assume, oh, like you don't love your daughter or something. But like I do. I love my child with all my heart, and everything I have to give, I'll do anything for her. But if I had the option, she'll be the exact same everything, but have her later, I would definitely choose to have her later. I mean, it just to get everything situated, to just set everything up to provide that for her. I would definitely recommend do it later. Do it when we're not children. When we're older and have more insight.
I agree with you there. It's like from a logistical standpoint, it makes a lot more sense to have money in the bank and to have support
That's
and to
true,
have
I
a
guess.
celebrated pregnancy and to have a partner and a house, all these things that you typically would. Although in the same token, we're so happy, we're so in love, we've learned so much, and being a parent is so much of who we are.
Me looking back, I'm happy. I'm really extremely happy that I decided to have my child. I was extremely comfortable with keeping my child because I knew that not only would she heal me, but I would be able to give her love that I was just eagerly willing to give to somebody, but of course deserving.
It helps you mentally. It just
Yeah.
makes you
Oh,
comfortable,
yeah.
and just makes you happy. Just
Right.
knowing that you're raising this kid.
I guess it gives you a purpose in life, right? Because I think many people in their teens they don't know what to do with their lives, and it's kind of a phase to explore and figure out what you want from life, and figure out what you want to do with your life. And I feel like having a kid kind of just automatically gives you a purpose so that you wouldn't have to search for one. Because I think many people, like many of my peers, are lost, and some people get depressed as a consequence of not knowing what they should be doing or not having a goal. I think having a kid kind of automatically gives you something to work towards and something to do with your life. And I think that's at least something, which is better than nothing. You know what I'm saying?
And make you feel proud of yourself.
Yes, I wouldn't change something, but in
It is a huge accomplishment, in my opinion, to be able to raise somebody.
that moment when we're a young teenager about to go off to college, like we just got out of high school, our life is just beginning. I didn't have that hindsight. I didn't have that, oh, it'll work out. It's scary, financially, socially, every way. And if I was in that spot, I think I would say yes. I would definitely want to have it later in life. And I mean, but yeah, hindsight.
Yeah,
I
nobody can change the past.
carry more of the burden of supporting my child than my partner.
Oof. Oof.
I'm sorry. That's all I want to say. I'm sorry that you're here.
Yeah, it's okay. She doesn't work right now, but she does help in a different way by taking care of him, right? But it's mostly me making the money, and it's mostly her taking care of our child.
Also, he means it like in a financial, from a financial perspective, he's contributing more than his partner. I think there's more ways you can contribute to supporting a child than financially, right? There's just different things you can do.
Hard thing to feel like the whole financial burden is on you because it just innates something in you and you're like, oh my gosh, if I don't bring money home for my child, what's gonna happen? And that's scary.
Yeah, I guess that is scary. At the same time, though, I think it forces you to be responsible. It forces you to be productive. And a lot of teenagers who don't have a motivation like that, sometimes people just waste their time, and at the end they have nothing to show for it.
It hit, actually. I've been laid off like twice. So that there was a point in my life where I wasn't making no money. It was difficult finding a job that time, and I felt very unappreciated.
I kind of had the stereotypical story of being young and pregnant and her dad wanting to kind of live his life, and his family really supported him wanting to live his life, and I felt so much guilt and shame for wishing that he wanted to be around more when she was younger. He's grown into it a lot.
I think it depends on whose decision it was to keep the child. Maybe if her partner didn't, well, I don't know. I'm not going to comment on that, I guess.
Which is really great, and I'm so thankful for that. But from the moment she was born, from the moment I was pregnant with her, I have had this giant burden of I'm the only one that cares for her. That's kind of been a recurring theme, is like, wow, if I don't figure this out, who will? And it's a scary feeling, but it's also the most beautiful thing because we've become just this symbiotic relationship between me and her, and I just know her so well. I know everything about her, and I'm happy.
It's just crazy how
I'm glad
fast
she's
we
happy.
matured.
Yeah.
And you look at our, friends that we have, and they're a little bit more immature.
Definitely agree. Most teenagers I know are not this mature.
Selflessly serve someone will bring out wisdom in anyone because you're putting yourself last.
I was really in between disagreeing and agreeing. From the beginning of, the pregnancy to now, majority of that whole time frame, I was the one putting like 80% of, responsibility. I was buying everything. I didn't ask him for anything. It felt like I was a single parent. He would spend time with our daughter, but that's simply just not enough, I got an offer for modeling in January, and so I had to leave my state, and I had to leave my daughter behind with my family and her father, which is the hardest thing I ever had to do. The responsibility of my daughter is now like basically equal.
We still live in different households. We're still separate at the moment until we're saving up for we can get a place together. I see her every day, everything, we're together all the time. When I have to leave at night, and she doesn't get that opportunity to leave. If she gets up at night, she has to be with her. So I feel like that burden, definitely, she has more responsibility in that aspect. And then she is with her more often, because I do have a lot more responsibilities with school and working, but she's also doing school and work. So it's all over. It's a roller coaster ride sometimes.
I wanted to ask, like,
Sounds
you
like
know,
a tough
you being a
life.
teen father, I feel like people automatically assume that you put in less work. So when you tell people you are a teen parent, do they assume, or how does that go? Like,
Usually when people ask me if I'm a teen parent, it's usually when I'm with my son. So I'm like, oh, are you, is this your brother? No, it's my kid. And they, oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Babysitter?
Babysitter, right?
Oh, do you have availability? Literally, that's the worst one.
I'm like, no, this is my kid. This is me.
For me, it just depends on the context. Like, and I'm not there. They ask my fiance, oh, like, is the father not in the relationship? I think it's just a stereotype now that
Exactly.
the dad usually leaves, and
Right.
a lot of responsibility falls on the mother.
Yeah, I guess that's a stereotype. At the same time, I think it's easier for the man to leave, right? Because, the woman is the one who's getting literally pregnant. So it's harder for the woman to leave, I guess.
My mental health was heavily impacted since becoming a parent.
I'm just trying to think of how to articulate this, because it's a wide range of emotions. I feel like it's not only being scared. You got anxiety from, oh, I have to support my child. Am I doing this right, doing this? And it definitely keeps you up at night. And I was never a good sleeper, as is. It really did take its toll, whether it be like my social, how I interacted with like my girlfriend. I'd get kind of more irritable, I guess, but until I found that balance.
I come from a divorced family, so I feel like there was different groups of people that I needed to tell. And the first 2 people that we told, it was a really horrible reaction. It was slamming on the table, it was tears, I was in tears.
Oh, God.
I just wanted to disappear. I just wanted to not exist. They were talking about every option besides keeping her. And it was very sneaky and deceptive and under the table, like, hey, we can do something behind the scenes.
Wow, I went through the same thing.
Yeah,
Like,
as a woman, like as a girl too, like a pregnant girl, you're just so, your whole brain chemistry changes when you're pregnant. You're on protect mode, you're on try to make everyone
I guess that depends on the woman, though.
happy mode, and it's really weird. I think loneliness is one of the most scary, detrimental things that people can go through for their mental health. It just can be
True, COVID, the pandemic, I think, made a lot of people mentally crazy, myself included.
so painful. And when you're a young parent, it just feels like no one could understand what you're going through. You need people. It takes a village to raise children is such a great quote, and it's so true. I wanted so badly to be able to do it on my own and prove everyone wrong. And it was that moment I surrendered that pride, and I'm like, no, it takes people to
I guess the child's well-being is more important than your pride, isn't it?
pour in to me and to her and to love on her and help me do this. Asking for help can be one of the strongest things you can do.
I've
Agree.
basically been like a sad person since I was a little girl. About like the age of 9, I started, having depression and being suicidal. And in middle school, I actually was admitted into a mental hospital because I tried to commit suicide. And that was literally right before my freshman year, before I got pregnant. And my mindset I was still depressed, My household and the people who were in my life were very, very extremely toxic and abusive. So when I felt...
Man, it's so crazy how much of your life is determined by in which family you were born into. Sometimes it's just... I think people definitely do have to take accountabilities for their own actions. However, I think some people, when judging another person, they just falsely assume that everything that they have or do not have is a direct consequence of their actions. And I think that your circumstances sometimes get downplayed when somebody judges you based on what you have or not and makes some assumes stuff about your character based on your status. I think sometimes people forget that the circumstances you were born into is a huge factor. It's of course not the only factor, but it is a big factor.
It was like, I call her my lifesaver. I truly do, because like I don't know where I would be. I don't even think I would be on this earth if I didn't fall pregnant. Like I literally fell pregnant at 14. I had to go
That
to
is
school
really young.
with my baby father. At that time, he was not claiming the child. So I literally saw him in the hallways every day, you know, with my big belly, you know.
Well, I can't imagine how it would be like to be a 14-year-old in high school and being pregnant. Especially, I think like kids that age are extremely self-centered and malicious sometimes, and they would do anything to keep themselves entertained, and they would do anything to be cool. So yeah, it's like respect to her to be able to survive in that situation, in those circumstances.
Be crying like every single night. So I didn't really have anybody's support, but.
So you want to give the child the happiness that you didn't have when you were there.
Exactly. But every time I look down at my stomach, I was just like, I'll do this for you. And I know,
so sweet.
I know that you're gonna give me the love that I wished I was raised with, you know. And I will give you the love because you deserve it. And that's what really.
That I have a lot of respect for that. Somebody who does not turn bitter because of their circumstances, but instead wants to break the cycle and pass on something positive instead of wanting revenge for what they didn't get. I don't know.
Took me off, and I started just becoming the woman that I'm supposed to be for my daughter and for myself, you know. So
I respect that.
I did it.
That's so sweet.
I also grew up in a bad childhood. You know, my parents were also teen parents. So they were on and off for like 10 years, and my dad will get very domestic with my mother, and I had to, you know, go through that, I had to watch that, and I had to see my mom's pain. So I was also very depressed. I was, you know, I was also suicidal when, you know, I found out that she was pregnant, and I was, you know, to be honest, I was embarrassed. You know, like I would get, where I live, you know, I would get clowned on, you know, hey, you know, you got that girl pregnant, but I decided not to look at it as a negative thing, but more of a positive thing. Okay, well, I have a motivation that all these people don't have. With the situation
That is very true. That is very true. You have a reason to live, right? You have a reason to move forward. You have a reason to strive for something better, which truly is something a lot of teenagers lack. Speaking from experience.
My ex, with the mother of my child, with my baby mama. You know,
especially if you were this is going to sound extremely like privileged, but if you were born in circumstances that are not as tough, sometimes it's hard to find a reason to strive to become better, you know, as a teenager.
I noticed that there was those red flags I saw from my childhood that I don't want for my son. I don't want him to see that, and my goal is to break the cycle. I don't want my kid being a teen parent, so I'm gonna make sure he's taught well, because I never had a father figure that taught me about sex, about using condoms. Yeah. I think we can all agree that it's very hard to tell our parents that we're pregnant or we got a girl pregnant. For me, when I told my mom, you know, me knowing that she was also a teen mom, oh man, she went crazy. She started throwing stuff, plates, pots, everything. Started dodging like the Matrix. I was like,
I got very lucky at the time that I told her. Like, I think because she was a teen parent also, she had me very young. And
wow, it's interesting how teen parents tend to have teen parents. Obviously, 4 people are not enough to come to a statistically relevant conclusion. However, I think it's interesting that at least 2 of them have teen parents.
I had sacrificed a lot of her life to make sure that I had the opportunity she didn't have. I found it was just like a slap in the face to her. I felt like that was going to be the hardest person to tell because you had worked all your adult life to prevent this from happening, to make sure I get a good education, don't repeat the cycle for me just to go back and repeat the cycle. She just wanted to provide me with that network so it wasn't as hard, you know, so I can finish what I was doing and provide for my daughter and just have access to these opportunities still. So I'm definitely very grateful.
There are goals I've had to sacrifice since becoming a parent.
Oh, definitely. I think all of them will agree. Oh, no? Only one person. Wow.
Well, since I had my daughter right out of high school, I don't have the opportunity to pursue like a legal education maybe I wanted to have done, because I've gotten, offers from schools out of state, like, oh, we can give you scholarships, but obviously I'm not going to take them because my family's here and this is where we're rooted.
When I found out I was gonna become a father, I didn't really have any goals. I didn't know what I was gonna do, what I was gonna pursue as a career. Military was an option. I was looking into becoming enlisted in the Air Force, but in order to do that, I had to give up all my custody to the grandmother, since my baby mom is a minor. She's 17 right now. So it kind of got me stuck, because that was my goal, to join the military.
Education.
Well, then he did have to give something up, didn't he? Unless he wasn't that passionate about the military anyways.
We striving, like I was always on the honors roll. And so when I got to high school, I got the opportunity to graduate early, even having my child, But because at that time I was just into just being with my child 24/7, I didn't trust anybody around my child. Like me going away to college, especially in another state, no, like I couldn't do that. I had to sacrifice.
So she did have to sacrifice something.
That, but it was not much of a sacrifice to me. It was more of a sacrifice to my family. That's the way they saw it, After you have a child, your mentality changes and you really start caring about what makes you happy, what makes a child happy.
All of my goals and dreams changed when I had her. So it wasn't like I was sacrificing anyway. I didn't feel like I was throwing opportunities in the trash. So when I had my daughter, it was this complete shift. As soon as I got...
Well, there's a difference between wasting something and sacrificing something, right? I think she did have to sacrifice a lot of things. It's just that to her, it was worth it. So it did not feel like a waste. It did not feel like wasted opportunities, because to her, her child was more important. So it was a worthwhile sacrifice, I think. But that is the definition of a sacrifice, though, which is different from just wasting something without getting anything in return, right? But I'm glad it was worth it for her. I truly am.
Pregnant, that wow, it was a come to Jesus moment. Your life is not about you anymore, quite literally. There's two of you now. And it was such a humbling spiritual experience. Once I just felt that love and knew I would do anything for her, and you see this hope in their little eyes, and they're like a blank piece of paper just ready to have a story rewritten, a beautiful story, and you get to be a part of it. And it's just so cool. It's not even like you're in control. As a parent,
It's really interesting to see how passionate she is about her child, as somebody who doesn't want a child.
Is how little control you have, and how you're just kind of along for the ride.
So being a teen parent is not bad. It's actually a benefit. It's actually a benefit.
I would still, I don't know if I'd recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
If you can,
Don't get pregnant.
I would not recommend it.
It was nice meeting you guys.
Oh, that was really wholesome. That was wholesome.
High five. We did great, y'all.
Hey, this dude is like trying to avoid COVID and using his arms, and everybody else are just like high five me, high five me.